Hello and welcome, beautiful soul. We're back. And we've just been chitter-chattering now for about 10 or 15 minutes. I go, okay, let me push the button. So welcome to Follow Your Inner GPS video podcast series. And today we have an amazing guest. Yes, I'm going to say that every single time because they are. We have the Reverend Raven Nightclaw, HP. He is an advanced Reiki master healer, an unconventional tarot reader, which I'm interested in finding out a little bit out more myself, and a fifth-generation psychic medium. So welcome to our video podcast, and tell us a little bit about yourself and what it is you do, Reverend Raven.
Well, thank you. First and foremost, I would like to say I am thrilled and honored to be able to be here with you today. You want to know about the unconventional tarot reader?
I do.
Okay, I say unconventional in a very unconventional kind of way. Even though I am a third-degree Reverend High Priest, I refused to be taught the actual major and minor arcana in tarot, and what the symbolisms mean. I go specifically by intuition, and direction through spirit, as well as I use my visionary abilities to get messages through the images that I look at in order for me to give, the insight and wisdom, to the individuals that need it.
I get it. That's exactly how I do the readings. Using angel cards or whatever cards they have me use. I don't memorize a thing just like you. So that's actually more conventional for some of us than we like to say.
It is conventional for a lot of us, yes.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I say unconventional because normal people who say they're quote-unquote tarot readers is usually book trained or they're trained in the major or minor arcana.
That's true. So tell
Yeah.
us more about you and what you do. Now we've got the unconventional piece understood.
Yeah. Well, let's start off with a brief story.
Yes.
Okay, I guess I could say that my spiritual story began at the age of 8. Okay, when I was very, very young, I had the ability to, and still do to this day, but it was very, very strong, where I was able to hear, see, and communicate with the dead, as well as, just regular ghost spirits, poltergeist, apparitions, whatever you want to call them. So, first and foremost, my mom actually thought that it was just invisible friends. Then it got really strange, where lights would flicker and things would move and things would be missing, and stuff like that after having a conversation, with these essences. And, after a while, my mom began to understand that, no, it was part of my gifts. It was part of my abilities as a medium. And as far as from what I've gathered working with so many people, a lot of mediumship individuals have experiences very, very early on in their childhood. And some develop, as time progresses, which is really, really cool. As I progressed from age 8 up until about 13, 14 years old, I was always having a tough time in school, a very, very difficult time. The biggest challenge that I had, I know this is going to sound really crazy, but every time I was in the classroom, I could hear the teacher teaching, but inside of my head, I could actually hear her speaking like 5 seconds before she would ever speak anything out of her mouth. Almost as if it was like a clairaudience kind of situation. And it got me so frustrated. So unfortunately, I dropped out at 9th grade. Okay, and I don't recommend anyone doing that. Okay, it was just very, very difficult for me. I did go back, and I did get my high school diploma, associate's degree, in college and stuff like that. I still did it, but it was weirdly enough on my terms. But as I progressed in my adolescence, into my teenage, and then into my adult years, I noticed that things started changing, and my dreams were becoming like more vivid, as if like I was living a second life. I would feel tired when I woke up,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, what's going on here? I want sleep. I mean, who in the world wouldn't want sleep? Everybody's got to have at least 5 to 8 hours of sleep. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
some need more, of course. But, after a while, I mean, I was always getting interrupted, always, between the hours of 1 o'clock in the morning and 4. And,
Yes.
and I'm like, well, what's going on? Then I found out, obviously, it's the veil hours,
Mm-hmm.
it's the ghost hour, if, quote unquote, where, obviously the spirits are trying to connect to you. They're trying to give you messages and stuff like that. So I learned a lot, from early on. My mother basically was my first high priestess, that taught me part of the occult, witchcraft and Wicca, which was really fascinating to me. I was always into wizards and druids and dragons and all kinds of crazy stuff. And as a kid, people really thought I was really off. Okay, like I was a
Mm-hmm.
different kind of a person. I was very different as a child. Still to this day, at a little more more then than now, of course. Now, as I progressed, again, the dreams became more vivid, more lucid. I was getting a whole bunch of different stuff was going on. I did have an experience. I guess we can always talk about this at another episode or something. But I had a very serious experience when I was 14 years old. Something came to me during my sleep. I had sleep paralysis pretty much the whole time. And when I woke up, my abilities like skyrocketed, like 100 times fold. And I like couldn't even stand being around groups, and because it was just too much for me to handle. Um, my parents kind of thought like I was weird, and
even
I,
with even within the confines of a family who understood and got it, you were weird.
I was casted out from almost every part of my family at one
Wow.
point because they were scared. They were scared of the information. Some secrets were, could be spoken by me
Mm-hmm.
that was not given to me. They were like, "How in the world do you know about this stuff? You're scaring me. You're creeping me out." Well, after as time progressed, of course, during this day and age, being a psychic, being a medium, is kind of a trend, I guess. And it's sad to say that, but it is something of a norm. You know,
Mm-hmm.
when people are very comfortable to a certain point, with gifted people now. And I'm very, very happy to say that I'm part of that cycle. So as time progressed, again, I learned Reiki. I became a level 3 Reiki master healer teacher. That was after I got my third degree reverendship. Okay. I did training. It was very intense training for becoming a reverend high priest. I mean, there's not a whole lot of reverends anymore. Okay, there's usually either practitioners or elders.
Mm-hmm.
There's never really an in between, so it's fun to actually have that title and share that with everybody. Um, and it was just really strange. Truthfully, I mean, I got into like Reiki. Reiki was great. I did my first, second, and third into my mastership, and then I did my fourth with a friend of mine. Really, really good. Again, advanced Reiki master healer teacher. Said that he just wanted to work with me on like quantum levels and all these other things that I was like, oh, like what the heck is going on here? I mean, I didn't know anything about it. I love science and I'm a science buff, but when it came to those things, I had no idea about dimensions and planes and rifts, cross rifts and wormholes and all kinds of like really off the wall stuff. And people were like, "Are you a genius?" It's like, no, I'm just taught these things. You got to understand these concepts. You have to. And you got to be very open. So now, I mean, what do I do? Okay, let's just kind of put that out there. I do give back a lot. I do give a lot because I love to give back. It's part of the nature of being an earth angel and being a healer and things
Mm-hmm.
like that. But yes, I am a healer. I do distance Reiki. Sorry, I'm going to correct myself. Okay, distance Reiki. Okay, I want to say the Asian societal practice way of saying it. okay, is Reiki. I do surrogate, in objects, which is really, really cool. It's a lot of fun for me. Again, tarot. Okay, I do the tarot. I do the angelic and oracle readings, intuitive readings, past life regressions, past life regression drawings, tapping into the Akashic records, as well as channeling, and one of my favorites, spiritual development. And that's one of my major focuses right now. That's basically, I guess, the best way to explain it would be helping people personally and spiritually becoming the very best version of themselves through different spiritual modalities,
Okay.
different practices, and combining them all, in one fluid movement, or motion or essence or reality.
All of the above.
we can talk about 5D all day long, but I mean, we're not in 5D yet.
No, not yet. Not yet.
We're on the verge of getting there, but we're not there yet. There's a whole bunch of purging that needs to be done, and and a lot of other things. But yes, I do charge. Okay, this is my occupation. Most of all of what I just said are my occupation. I do introductory readings live on Facebook whenever I feel pulled to doing it. So it's a lot of fun. You can just get a quick read and, see if you like my style. And I do have a website. I know we were talking about, I was reading the PDF that you gave me. It is called Healing Life from Within. .weebly.com. No, it is not a .com yet. I know everybody's telling me to, but honestly, I really enjoy that one. I do have another website that's called Spiridium Circle, and I can easily just give the links to you, and you can share them. I also have a YouTube channel where I do helpful tips, life hacks, and also spiritual interviews, like we're doing here. However, I really do love the essence of just giving back, paying it forward, and helping people. So,
in that venue, and thank you for all that you've just shared, tell us about your journey. You've been starting it a little bit, but if you wouldn't mind going into a little bit deeper, I'm not trying to get into your very personal, sacred things,
okay.
But tell our viewers, if you would please, what your journey has been like, and maybe pick out just one challenge or obstacle that you worked with to help get you through.
Wow. The challenges are multitudes.
Yes.
That's for sure. What's the journey? Okay. Well, first and foremost, again, we go back to a story. I mean, there's always stories that we have. I was a person who suffered from physical abuse as a child. I always had trust issues when it came to just people in general. I was a very open and very caring and loving person until it became too much. And then I shut down. I became cold, calculated, arrogant, egotistical, a little kind of selfish, truthfully. And it was a very strong amount of lessons that I had to learn prior to ascension, as we call it. And I guess my biggest challenge, I mean, between the learning the Reiki and understanding potions and gemstones and herbs and understanding the concepts of the mind and anatomy and energetic fluxes and how the universe works, and all these things, the biggest challenge that I had and maybe even still have, truthfully, and I'll admit this, is acceptance, honestly. Accepting the flow, accepting the universe has my back, not being worried or concerned, about certain things in life, like bills. All right, I know people are like, well, how can I not, be worried about bills? They're always there every month, or there's something or other, or I'm in debt. or some things like that. And the fact is, yeah, I mean, it causes a little stress, but truthfully, that has been probably one of my biggest challenges. Aside from that, unconditional love. Truthfully, I mean, I can't just pick one. Honestly, I mean, unconditional love is like one of the biggest, and that's loving people openly, fluidly, non-judgmental. No matter what their practices is, no matter how they live their lives, and that's tough. It really is tough, especially when you go through a process like I have, where, I mean, I know multiple practices and multiple religions and things like that, and then you look at how people are legitimately working with those religions and see that they're not even doing what is taught, and that's the sad part, and I guess that's kind of like the part that kind of makes my water boil. Let's just say.
I get that, and I've been asking off and on. I call what I call soft questions. Because it's like, okay, so what about, and how does this, and why do I, and why does that, and it's like, it's not I need to know or I have to have the why, and at some point when I'm ready to receive the answer and my vibration is clear enough or high enough, then I most often get an answer. And if it's not going to help propel me to help my clients forward, then it doesn't come. But there's sometimes I react, and it's like, well, where did that come from? And just recently, I actually got an answer. I thought, cool. There's so much of the energy being projected out by that person that it's almost, you can almost not react other than, and you can catch yourself with a judgment. Having grown up with a lot of conditions attached to love, I have a pretty good idea of what unconditional is. It's the opposite of what I grew up with.
Right.
Now, this is not, no poo-pooing my family. We've done a lot of healing, blah, blah, blah. But when you have an example of what it isn't, it makes it a little easier, not always easier, but easier to understand and then to practice. Unconditional love is not always easy. It's not.
And what I have also noticed about that subject is that it's the individual, whoever it is, needs to understand the difference between unconditional love, conditional love, and and the ones that are in between. And honestly, I mean, conditional love, and I can share this with everybody, and truthfully, because I've been there, where I can understand now what conditional love is, which is very simply explained as giving love in order to get something in return. That's conditional. And unconditional is just giving it openly, giving it willingly, and just because you're that kind of person, and to be honest, the human being, the human race, that's what we're created to do. I mean, honestly, each and every single one of us is created to just give that openly. But it's because of certain situations, certain conditions, certain experiences that have created blockages, in that vibrational field, and it's hard. It is hard. I'm not gonna, and again, I share my unconditional love part because a lot of people resonate with that challenge, with that trouble with unconditional love, and unconditional love. If I could share anything about it, it starts with self-love.
It absolutely does, because and people talk about, well, I love myself, but do they really? Because there are parts of me. Okay, they just told me I'm between 85 and 90% reconciled and embraced.
Right.
So there's still a little bit. It's like, well, I really wish I hadn't have done that. Well, okay, so love that you didn't like that you did it.
Right.
And the conditions, like you said, it's also, if you don't do X, Y, Z, I'm withholding from you. How many times have we hear, without going too deeply into it, there's I'll love you if you give me this. Well, if you don't do this, then I'm withholding for a while and you're going to know it. So it's not an unconditional. And unconditional, ladies and gentlemen, beautiful souls, does not mean that people get to run over you.
Right. And I notice, and I have to, I totally, this is just too funny that we're on this subject.
Not really.
It's divine planning. The biggest thing, and I'll say this to the people that do listen to this or watch this and are looking to create a profession, okay, with your abilities or with the things that you've learned. There's nothing wrong with that, okay? I have fought tooth and nail for years inside of myself. Okay, I legitimately got fired from 25 different jobs because I was using my abilities at my jobs and it made people uncomfortable. And I just kept doing it and doing it and doing it, and I was doing it naturally. Like it was, I was pulled. I was so pulled to where I had to. I didn't have a choice. It was a must for me. Okay, because certain people were saying something, and my intuition was telling me something else, or spirit was, or spirit was telling me something else. And the fact is that we have to. The thing, and we got to. It's about authenticity, really, being the authentic self, and those that are gifted, that are highly gifted, and I'm not saying that those people are superior to anyone else. But there's people that embrace their gifts, okay? Those people that really trade up, they train, they use them, they embrace every single aspect, that has to do with their abilities. Those are the people that other people are afraid of.
Yes.
Because either they're right or they're so right to where it's scary. Okay? And the thing is that, yes, there are people out there like that. Okay, and there are healers like that too. I've seen people heal cancer, okay, in my life cycle with just the Reiki modalities. Okay, seriously, I've seen it. And as well as changing the vibrations and the mindset, okay, and things like that, and physically healing yourself. Okay, it is true. I mean, a lot of people are like, that's all hogwash. No, it's absolutely accurate. We've been pre-programmed. Well, let's just rephrase that. We've been deprogrammed, okay, to believe in ourselves.
Right.
Okay. We have spent so much time with worry, with debt, with doubt, with disbelief because of everything that we've seen. Okay, we could say war, famine, poverty, violence, okay, all these different things. Greed is a big one, okay, because greed makes all that happen, okay. I mean, that's for sure. And when we decide, and I know we're supposed to be talking about me here, but I love talking about the masses, okay, this is like my focus, that once we get past that very uncomfortable wall, and I know that everybody has boundaries, but we have to force ourselves to feel uncomfortable in order for us to grow. We have to. Okay, and I know I just got somebody today, no lie, okay, today, just this afternoon, blocked me, okay, on Facebook because I specifically told her that her paranoia, okay, and her anxiety was based on past experiences. And then she has to get past this in order for her to move on in her life. And she didn't want to hear it. And the fact is that some people don't, and that's fine. I send them blessings. May their life be abundant and beautiful and joyful and happy. Okay, but the thing is, if they don't get past that part, they're going to stay anxious, worried, paranoid, okay, and all that. And trust me, I fight, and I still fight to this day with PTSD as well as social anxiety disorder. okay, which is, having a hard time in group settings, or even going to a place that I'm not familiar with, okay,
Mm-hmm.
which is tough sometimes. It is. I'm not going to say, and I think that that's normal probably for some people, okay,
It is, especially if you're highly sensitive to energy to begin with.
yep,
As an empath, a star child, rainbow child, crystal child, indigo, whatever degree of the frequency of the vibration, you have to, it's not even a should or get to, you have to take precautions to protect yourself from the energy. It's not always about walling yourself off or blocking it all. It's setting up the necessary filters
yes,
so that you can still be out in public, because not many of us can manage to be up on a hill underneath a Bodhi tree and never see another soul again. It's not working that way.
right,
So we get to integrate or assimilate and be in amongst, and this is so not a better than thou anything, but any person viewing this at some point in time, if you're sensitive to energy, you're going to get it.
yep,
You're going to understand that it has nothing to do with better than or less than. It's like, yeah, and the more stuff you get rid of, the more you heal from within, the more you notice, so the more you get to protect.
right.
Haven't you found that for yourself?
I have, absolutely, and the biggest thing for me, because not only did I have to deal with abuse as a child, but
Mm-hmm.
I also had to deal with bullying through high school. And it wasn't because of the fact that I was a geek, or, I was just unpopular. The fact was the total opposite. Okay, I was one of the popular kids. I was one of the highly attractive, kind of, pretty boy, type of kids. That all the chicks, hey, all the chicks like that. But whatever. I mean, the thing is that again, beauty is based on perception. So, I mean, it really doesn't matter. I mean, somebody else that looks totally different than me could be absolutely gorgeous, in some other people's eyes. But the thing is, was that when I had to deal with that stuff, even through my young adult life, I had to deal with like these people. I don't know, maybe they just gravitated to me or something. That it's always the ones that, well, not anymore, but always the ones. And I guess it was lessons that I had to learn about self-respect and not allowing other people, like you said earlier, not allowing other people to walk all over you
Mm-hmm.
and to treat you like a doormat. And the thing is, there is a lot of people, a lot of sensitive people, a lot of psychic people, no less,
Mm-hmm.
that they love to give, they love to give, they give, and they give too much.
Yes.
Okay, they give to the point where people start taking advantage of them. And they come to you 5, 6 times, in a month, and they give you nothing back. Now, mind you, I help. I do. I mean, sometimes I do my trainings for free. Sometimes I do spiritual development for free. Sometimes if I feel pulled to it, yes. If I don't feel pulled to it, I just don't do it. Okay. But it's weird because almost every single time I've done my trainings for nothing, I've learned one harsh truth. And I'm going to share this with the public here. Okay, and this also goes for people who do this for an occupation or a profession, is that those people are not going to take you seriously.
Nope.
Sorry to say that, because if they're getting something from you for free, they're not investing any energy, any money, okay, any love, anything into it. So those individuals you're going to find out are the people that basically, reschedule, don't even care if they show up to appointments. Okay.
Yeah.
And honestly, you always, my one mentor, okay, I forget his name off the top of my head. I don't know why I forgot it. But he, I've had a lot of mentors in my life, but this major mentor, he's a 6-figure income entrepreneur mentor. Okay. He's kind of one of the last name Mascus, I think, something like that. On Facebook all the time. His wife's on there constantly. The one thing that this guy told me, he said they always got to give a little bit of skin in the game in order for them to, to take it kind of seriously. And I'm like, really?
Yes.
I mean, and truthfully, I was only paying, and I'm going to share this with a lot of people, I was only charging $35, $35 half hour, $50, $50 hours. And it has nothing to do with greed. Honestly, it doesn't. And if it did, I probably wouldn't be in it. Okay, truthfully. But it had to do with your own personal value, and what you as a person, as a human being, as a talented, psychic, and empathetic person has to have in your life. Okay, meaning a roof, a car, bills paid, food in your refrigerator, in your cabinets, extra food for your animals. Because most of us have animals. Okay, I'm sorry, but most sensitive people and psychic people, we do have animals. My go-to is cats. Okay, and that's just me. But no, a lot of us apparently are cats. It's either cats, dogs, birds, or lizards. For a lack of a better term. But honestly, my whole life has been helping people in some way, shape, or form. And I never really knew that that's what life's purpose actually is. We just have to find out how.
Mm-hmm.
How to do that. And again, we have to force ourselves to feel uncomfortable in order for us to grow. So we have to read more, we have to train more, okay, and we have to legitimately put into action what we learn. Seriously, I mean, I'll be honest, I've smoked cigarettes almost 25 years. Okay, seriously. And I still, every once in a blue moon, I may have one. Okay, just to remind me what I'm missing out on, which isn't much. Okay. But the whole thing, I vape too, and I know people got their, what do they call it? There's a word for that too. They got their vices, they got their ideas on vaping and stuff like that, which I don't use box much or whatever. I'm not going to get into that. But, they said popcorn lungs and all kinds of crazy stuff, which I don't know what to believe, honestly. But it helps me, and it stops me from smoking cigarettes. Okay, so, and I really enjoy the fact that I don't smell like a cigarette. Okay, I really, really do. And I never really thought about it until I stopped. And the thing is that we have to choose what it is that resonates at the highest frequency for us, for each and every single one of us. I mean, I've talked to nurses, doctors, lawyers, entrepreneurs, okay, like big-time business owners and things like that, where I'm like, whoa, I never thought that all these people were spiritual. I mean, truthfully. I mean, how deep they go into this spirituality. And it's not just a religion, so to speak. It's being spiritual in whatever method they want to, or whatever works for them. Like, I mean, I learned Taoism, Buddhism, Taoism. I mean, again, Wicca, witchcraft, Reiki, quantum touch. I mean, DNA reconstruction. I mean, there's so many things that I've learned that I'm like, wow, like there's so much stuff out there that the blinded, okay, I'm going to say blinded. Hopefully nobody takes offense or gets butthurt, okay, because I said blinded, okay. But what I mean by blinded people is the people who don't believe. The people that cannot trust in people like us, okay, that can legitimately help them. And not just for money, because if it was for money, I'd be charging thousands and thousands of dollars, to be honest. I'm not here to be rich, okay? I'm here to make a living, help myself, help my wife, help my family, and just enjoy life, just like anybody else. I just do it differently. I just do it using my abilities. But aside from that, the bottom line is my journey was based on forcing myself to feel uncomfortable. I was very uncomfortable with Reiki at first. I didn't understand the modalities. I didn't understand the practices. Same thing with witchcraft and Wicca. Okay, I was very, very uncomfortable. I was born Christian and Catholic. Okay, and when I started getting into that, I was like, whoa, wait a minute. And then I started looking at like the Sabbats, for an example. Okay, like Imbolc, Beltane, Lugnasa, Samhain. Okay, and then you look at some of the Christian, and their holidays, and I'm like, wait a minute, they took that, which that's just my take on it. Okay, they adopted, let's say. Okay, not saying it rudely. They adopted the Sabbaths and just changed them a little bit to work in their favor, which is fine. I think that's what most religions do. Which that's a universal spiritualist, interfaith minister. I get to talk about it all, but and not get in trouble, hopefully. But the seriousness is my journey. This is what we were talking about before. The journey isn't easy.
Mm-mm.
Okay? I mean, there's shifts, there's energy changes, your dreams get all weird and wonky, and there's tons of messages, and you get ringing in the ears, and headaches, and migraines, and back of your neck hurts, and sometimes your body's sore, okay, and stuff like this, which is transmutation, okay, and integration into, different levels and frequencies. Okay, your body's got to adjust, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But those were my biggest challenges. Okay, it was the shifting, not understanding, and sometimes even feeling like I'm going nuts. I mean, truthfully,
Mm-hmm.
like you're going out of your mind, and you're like, wait a minute, and you're really not. I guess you could say the brain's like a computer, and all it really is upgrades. I mean,
There you go.
they're upgrades, they're reprogramming.
And
Okay.
sometimes you just need to reboot.
Yeah, sometimes, and I disconnect. I'll put both my hands to the higher powers. Okay, and sometimes I totally disconnect.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, from the internet. Well, probably not the internet so much, but I mean, every day I'm doing something with the internet, but it's not constant. You got to separate. You got to separate yourself from that, because it could get not only obsessive, but it can become an addiction. Okay, with constantly being on the internet. I'm a gamer. Okay, I am. I got a PlayStation 4. Okay, I play computer games. I got a gaming PC. Okay, but the thing is that I still take a break. Okay, I take a break from it because I'll get consumed
Mm-hmm.
by it or within it. I don't know how much time we got left. Sorry.
Well, if there was one thing that you could share with our viewers to help them know how to proceed on their path or with their inner journey, what would it be?
Wow.
Just one thing.
I would say the major thing to do is understand. What's the best way to put it? Understand what makes you happy. That's probably one of the biggest things, because I never really understood what made me happy. I mean, I love artwork. I love being creative, and I never really did anything with it. When I was a kid, I could draw ever since I put a pencil in my hand, honestly. And I mean, I used to recreate Nintendo game covers when the Nintendo first came out. A big giant, like 24 by 24 pieces of poster board. Find out what you love, and make sure that and this is all about that love, is make sure that you choose that highest vibration. You got to look inside. You have to really reflect and say, okay, is this really for my better good?
Mm-hmm.
I know that kind of like weird wording, but is it for my best vibration?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, to do something like this, or is this really going to make me happy? Okay, by doing this, because you start doing what you love, you never work a day in your life. That's what my grandfather used to say. And if you don't want to make it an occupation, fine. If you have a regular job, okay. That's the trouble, though. That's the trouble between the people who work a normal job, and this is something that I like to share. Okay, there has to be a balance made, all right, because there's those who work that are gifted, okay, that do it for free, because that's like they're giving back. Okay, then there's people like myself that create it as a profession. That's an occupation, and we charge. But there's other stuff that I do also for nothing. That's that balance.
Balancing the universal law of giving and receiving is a must.
Yes.
No matter if you have a day job, a night job, or you're working with spirit in one fashion or another.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for being here. Would you tell our viewers one more time how they can connect with you, please?
Absolutely, absolutely. The way that you can connect to me, the couple of ways, is Facebook for one. It's facebook.com/readings by Raven Nightclaw. Okay, that's one of my business pages. And then you can also go to www.healinglifefromwithin.weebly.com.
Okay, excellent. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this concludes another segment of Permission to Follow Your Inner GPS. And do take a few moments to help us expand our online community at Living Spirit and Wellness Global Directory at angeldreamteam.com. And Reverend Raven, you would be an excellent addition to that as well. It's empaths for empaths. And who better to understand empaths except empaths? So take a look, take a seat and view it, and then join it if you care to, because this is growing. And thank you so much, and we'll be back again soon. Namaste.
Lovely. Namaste.